Hey. Here I am again. I'm running late. Oh boy. Oh boy, right? Me, I'm running late again. Ooh. I honestly forgot that I was supposed to stream today until a friend of mine messaged me. So that was funny. Yeah. Also, I definitely forgot to stream last week. I apologize for that. Here, let me turn the gain down on this guy. There we go. Not quite as loud. Perfect. Yeah, so I forgot to stream last week as well. Whoops. That was unfortunate. But yeah, I've been very busy. I'm sorry. I don't even know if there's any people left who still watch stuff on this channel. If you're watching this later, hi. I'm sorry. I had a lot of things happen for me all at once that I wasn't expecting. So I have not been I've not been doing a whole awful lot of anything. And streaming completely went to the wayside as well. But I'm here. I'm streaming. I'll have to pop out in like half an hour to go put away my roast because I'm cooking a roast because once again I forgot I was gonna be here. But that'll only take me a minute, so that's not too bad. Okay. There we go. I don't know if anyone's gonna come to this today. Hard to say. Who could really say? I don't know. I know there's that whole thing where if you stop streaming for like even a week, you lose like 90% of your audience. So I don't know. Hi, Alex. Thanks for coming. It's probably just gonna be you. I was just talking about how like when you stop streaming for even 1 week on Twitch, it's really volatile and it'll stop like showing people your streams. And I've stopped streaming for 2 weeks now, so it's probably just you. If there is anyone who watches this in the future, hi, thanks for watching it even late after the fact. I still appreciate it. But with that said, here we are. More Our Life. I'm heckin' excited. I may have played a couple of these on my own. I was gonna try and go through the kid ones, but then I got impatient and I played through one of the these ones. I didn't save over it though, so I'll still play whatever one it was on stream later. I can't believe you're a scrub. I know. I broke my streak. I lost it all. Tears coming out of my eyes. It's so sad. Well, that's all right. Now let's see. We were here. Right. Okay. Which one did I say I was gonna do this time, Alex? Was it Drive? Yeah. Okay. It was Drive. Okay. So we're back with Luis and Cove. God, it feels like it's been a million years. I'm so excited. Like a lazy cat, you stretched your arms above your head and yawned, blinking your eyes sleepily. The day was warm and pleasant, and you were lounging on the couch in the living room, finding it difficult to do much in that moment. Your moms and Liz had gone out shopping, looking for some new items for your sister to take back and decorate her college dorm with. They had asked if you wanted to go with them, but you declined. For you, today was all about relaxation. Cove had dropped by to spend some time with you, content to join in with doing nothing. The two of you had been chatting idly as you lazed around, talking about the other things you had planned for the summer. I mean, you were stretched out across him as he sat on the couch. Yeah, of course. You had your feet propped up on one of the armrests and used Cove as a comfy cushion beneath your head, totally settled in. Cove was tense, his legs almost as stiff as two logs. That made things not as comfortable as you had hoped for. Gee, I wonder how he's so tense. The day dragged on, and you found yourself yawning more and more often between conversations. You had almost dozed off completely when suddenly a buzz rang out, disturbing the silence. Your phone was on its charger in the kitchen, so it couldn't have been that. Cove pulled his own phone from his back pocket and checked the screen. His movement had jostled you, so you tried to readjust your position to get it right again.
Oh.
It's my mom. After leaning forward and setting the phone on the coffee table in front of him, Cove hit the speaker button. Hey, what's up? Luis is here too.
Hi.
Hi, Cove. Hello, Luis. You made a small noise in response, just like, You're interrupting our very important do-nothing time, you know. Hi, Mom 3. Oh, gosh. Yeah, hi, Mom 3. You knew your forwardness was making Cove regret putting it on speaker, but you were alright with that. Cove, baby, I wanted to ask you if you have a plan for all your junk. Cove made a small, outraged grumble, giving you a sidelong glance. It's not junk. It's important. Mm-hmm. Though you couldn't see it, you could tell by the sound of her voice that Kyra was smiling.
Aha.
But is that a yes or no about the plan? He looked over at you, his mouth pulled into a tight smile. I'm still thinking about it. Luis? I'm gonna take the phone off speaker so me and Mom can go over this. It'll be quick. Cove carefully moved you off of him, and took the phone from the table before pushing himself to his feet. He hit the speaker button again to turn it off and continued the conversation with his mom as he headed toward the door. Hey, Mom 3. Yeah, exactly. I mean, realistically at this point, she is Mom 3. Oh, hello! Hi, hello, welcome to the stream. We've only just started, you didn't miss much. I'm glad you love it. It is a very fun game. We love our life very much. The lock clicked behind him as he exited the house, and you sank back onto the cushions, idly trying to decide what to do next. After electing to grab your own phone from its charger, you resumed your position on the couch, tapping away at the screen. Your mind drifted away from thoughts of Cove and his phone call with all the many ways your device could distract you. It was an effective enough way to kill the time, and you had managed to do various little things when the door opened again and Cove returned. Oh, what was that? Oh, thank you very much for following, Lacio. Appreciate it. Appreciate the follow. Cal reading Gremlin Jeremy voice. I don't need to pull out my Jeremy voice. No. He's not here now. Yes. I am the voice of Jeremy, yes indeed. But he's sadly not in this step. I don't get to be an obnoxious, aggressive little angry gremlin in this. Oh, Jeremy. I hope you managed without me. You watched as Cove strolled over to where you were sitting. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. Just... He sighed dramatically and let his forehead fall against the couch back. I know I just came back from visiting my mom, but... Well, last time I flew there, every time I just fly there and back, and so... There's a lot of stuff I've left over there because I couldn't take it all with me on the plane. Now that I'm not going to be visiting her like I used to, I'll have to go get it at some point. He gave you a look that you thought seemed almost guilty. Some of it's pretty big, so it's not really practical to have it shipped. I can drive over and pick it up. When will you go? That's what my mom wanted to know. She thought it'd be best to do it soon before things get even busier. He paused and let out a soft sigh, his shoulders dropping, as if he really didn't want to be the one to have to tell you that. I think that's probably the idea that makes the most sense, too. It'd be good to get it over and done with. I'll be setting out as soon as I can. Oh, another trip already then. He sighed and dropped his head again. You could tell he wasn't any happier about having to go than you were about seeing him leave. Fine. It's fine. Just, are you trying to get away from me? He didn't know what to say. Yeah, I'll be humorous, even if Luis would definitely be sad. Are you just trying to get away from me? Never. You cracked a smile, but deep down you were sad that he had to leave again so soon. Looking up again, you met his bright aquamarine eyes, finding a sad smile tugging on his lips. Oh! Suddenly his eyebrows jumped and his eyes lit up like a lamp. You could come with me. What? You should come. My visits to my mom's are usually special, so she and I can spend time together, but this time it's not like that. It's an errand. My plan is to drive out one morning, spend the night, and then we can pack up the car the next morning and turn right back around. It'd only take 2 days for the whole thing. You thought to yourself for a moment, amused by Cove's excitement. No tease for these. Bagel, don't worry. Fine, sounds so passive aggressive. Yes, it definitely does. Cal matching with Cove, SMH, get your own look, bro. Bagel, I mean, don't worry. I think you've only missed one stream because, like, for the last 3 weeks, I only streamed once because I kept being too busy or almost forgetting, like today. But then Alex was like, hey, aren't you supposed to be streaming? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I was doing that. Speaking of which, I was so unprepared. In 20 minutes, I'm going to have to go take a roast out of the oven because I did not remember I was streaming, but regardless. I'm happy you're here, Bagel. Now it's not just Alex bullying me. Alright. Are you sure it'd be okay if I go?
I mean...
Yeah, why not? I probably could use the company. It's a pretty long drive for one person. A sprinkling of color spread over his cheeks as he admitted quietly, and I'd just really like to have you around. And plus, you'd have a chance to see my mom in person again. I know she'd be happy to see you again. You shrugged casually, smiling as you officially let Cove talk you into it. A roast in the oven, so unprofessional. I know! Me am professional streamer. Having roast in oven while streaming. It's my first time making a roast, okay? I was all excited. Oh, it smells really good. I'm like really hungry. I don't know why I was like, yeah, let's cook the thing that takes like 4 hours to cook right when I'm getting hungry. I'm smart. I'm big brain, man. As we know. Oh goodness, what was that? Hold on. Coffee kisses, thank you for following. I appreciate it. The road trip moment is life. This one is I'm looking forward to this one. This one's gonna be good. No, but tastes good too. Thank you. I'm looking forward to this roast a lot. I know it's totally mundane, but I'm really looking forward to eating that roast. Alright. I'll have to let my moms know, but as long as we've got nothing else important on the days we pick, there's no reason I wouldn't be able to go. Cove's face brightened, and you were sure the prospect of having you as a travel buddy made the task seem less tiresome. I'll call my mom back and tell her. We can pick a time right now. You spent some time together going over your schedules and making plans for when you could take the trip. You needed to fit it in around both of your work schedules, which took a bit of doing, but came together in the end. Luckily, it was only a 2-day trip, so finding a couple free days in a row wasn't impossible. It wasn't long before the dates were finally set and all the plans were made. Of course I was excited for the trip. A short trip sounded like the perfect way to spend some time. You could listen to music, eat snacks, and enjoy the open road. No matter what you thought about things, the morning when you were due to leave arrived. It was cooler than usual, the sun barely peeking over the tops of the houses. You stood outside your house on the footpath near the road, waiting for Cove. You yawned loudly, covering your mouth with the back of your hand. Mornings were always a struggle. Where cat? The cat is asleep in the other room. I'm pretty sure he is curled up in my booth currently. He has decided that that is his home. So he's taking a long nap right now. But given that I'm talking, he'll probably come out at some point. We'll see. I don't want to disturb him, though. The boy, wherever he may be. With your travel bag clutched in one hand, you watched as Cove finished packing up his car. He had organized all sorts of things, water bottles, snacks, and who knows what else. Cove insisted he had everything under control and didn't need help. At least you could rest easy, knowing that it was all taken care of. As you waited, you glanced over Cove's car. You knew it well. It used to belong to Mr. Holden, and when Cove had learned to drive, it passed to him. His dad had taken the opportunity to get a newer one. It was pretty old at this point, but had served both of them well so far. You just hoped it had enough life left in it to survive a trip as long as the one you were embarking on. The slam of a door closing made you jump. You snapped back to focus and saw Cove was walking towards you. He dusted his hands off on his pants and tilted his head toward the car. That's it. Ready to go? Yeah, I'm ready. He smiled and stepped aside, giving you space to situate your own bag back where you wanted it. Once everything was safely inside, he glanced back at you.
All right.
We should get started. It's gonna be a ways to go. Ooh. Yeah, give him a hug. He seemed surprised, but he chuckled and returned the gesture. It couldn't last for long, though. Time was of the essence. The two of you climbed into the car and buckled up. Cove in the driver's seat and you sitting shotgun. His eyes moved to you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming on this trip with me. Of course, it's no problem. After checking the mirrors and starting the engine, you pulled out of the driveway and the trip began. With a small sigh, you got cozy in your seat and watched the familiar houses in your neighborhood pass by. Cove reached over to turn on the radio. A crackle of static mixed with the odd snippets of song filled the car as he flipped through the stations. Mr. Holden's car was in good condition, but it was, well, older. There was no way to plug in a phone to play music, so the radio had to do. Eventually, he settled on a top 40 station before sitting back and resting both hands on the wheel. Is that okay? Yeah, it works. He smiled, happy with the answer. Time flew by, and with it the scenery outside your window became more and more unfamiliar. It was a little fluttery, being alone in the car with Cove for so long. There was nowhere else you would have rather been. Every now and then you'd look over and sneak a glance at him, wondering what he was thinking about. Every now and then you'd look over at him longingly. No. Eventually, Cove broke the silence, clearing his throat softly before he spoke. It's been too long since you and I spent time with my mom. I know she still comes to the neighborhood sometimes, but it's not even once a year. I'm always going to hers. I'm happy the two of us are doing this. Yeah, me too. But speaking of your mom and trips, remember the time she took us on that crazy drive all across town? He shook his head at the memory, his laughter clear and bright. Oh, I remember. I kept worrying about papers and shoes while you were having a blast. It was an amazing night. He smiled quietly to himself, clutching the wheel a little more confidently. With the crinkling of his eyebrows, a look of nostalgia crossed over Cove's features. Mom always knew how to make things memorable. I can't deny that. That's for sure. We have had some crazy adventures with Kyra, that's for sure. Silence slowly crept back into the space, both of you thinking back on that night and all the memories you had of it. Your elbows resting on the windowsill, you gazed out at a world that was slowly coming to life as the morning rolled on by. The sun climbed higher in the sky, forcing you to adjust the visor overhead to keep it out of your eyes. Hey, do you mind reaching back for me? Cove gave you a sidelong glance as he drove, indicating with a nod of his head and a tiny smile. I want some chips, the salt and vinegar ones. Ooh, controversial flavor. Yeah, of course the next option is that. Ooh. Okay, well for me personally, I don't mind salt and vinegar. I wouldn't actively choose it, but I can eat it. But Luis say, that's a great flavor. I don't know how you can eat that. You didn't have a comment on his selection. Yeah, we'll say Luis likes them. That's a great flavor.
Right?
Eat whatever you want too. I brought a bunch of everything. Stretching out the seatbelt to give yourself space, you twisted in your spot and reached into the bag holding the snacks. It took a bit of effort to sort through the collection of goodies stuffed inside, but eventually the bag of chips crinkled beneath your fingers as you pulled them out and sat back in your seat. Here. Thanks. Do you mind opening it? His eyes lit up at the prospect of the snacks, and you shook your head in amusement, popping the top of the bag. Want me to feed them to you? His eyes widened, the hint of blush creeping over his cheeks, but he steadfastly continued to face the road. No, that's okay. Can you just pour a few into my hand? Yeah, sure. Thanks. Cove held out one outstretched hand. You did your best to have the chips fall into his palm, but some did end up on the floor. After that, you rolled up the top of the bag and stowed the chips safely in the back again. When you turned to the front, it was to find Cove crushing the fistful of chips into his mouth, crunching loudly. The flavor is, well, I wouldn't eat it in real life. I mean, fair. It is a strong taste. Salt and vinegar is a lot. Cal, you drank maple syrup on stream. I gave a trust your taste, but it wasn't maple syrup. It was Mrs. Buttersworth. And I only drank it because you peer pressured me into it. Listen. I'm not saying I love salt and vinegar. Like I said, if you asked me to pick a chip, I wouldn't pick salt and vinegar. But like if it's there, I'll eat it. It's fine. It's not the worst flavor. What is the worst flavor of chip? I'm trying to even think. I don't really like super spicy chips, but that's just because I'm a baby and I can't eat anything that's spicy. So, like, you give me, like, a sweet chili heat Dorito, nah, my mouth will be on fire, not a good time. Anyways, back to Cove just shoveling these chips into his mouth. Oh, I can't eat spicy things, too. I know, right? It's like, it's not that I hate, like, the way they taste or anything, I can't handle spice. It burns my mouth. He wiped his hand on his pants absent-mindedly before gripping the wheel and spilling crumbs all over the place. Oh, Cove, you're a mood and a half. I'm impressed. Cove mumbled through his mouthful of chips, giving you a brief thumbs up. You smiled back, shaking your head in amusement at his antics. The hours drifted by much the same way as that, with the two of you snacking and chatting as the day stretched on. The habit of his is really funny. I feel it. I'm right there with Cove. I'm a horrifically messy eater. Always have been. It was fairly calm and quiet, traveling along the open road, and you found little in the way of interruptions. At one point, you passed a "Welcome to Nevada" sign. Nevada? Is it Nevada or Nevada? No, it's Nevada, isn't it? "Welcome to Nevada" sign. Listen, I'm not American. I don't know. And Cove gave a tiny cheer. He was in disbelief that the two of you were seriously all the way in another state like this. I think it's Nevada, right? I always want to say Nevada, but I'm pretty sure that's not it. It's Nevada, right? I think I don't know. I don't know my states, man. I'm a Canadian. I know provinces. Eventually, you had to stop for gas and made a detour at a small diner to grab a proper meal that didn't consist of chips and candy. What? Chips and candy isn't a proper meal? I say, knowing that I've been eating that like all day. After refueling both the car and your stomachs, the drive was back on. Just as the sun began dipping beneath the horizon and bathing the sky in a wash of orange light. Cove informed you that there wasn't too much longer left to go. You were almost there. Luis is probably an okay driver, but I wouldn't trust him. So let's say we just helped Cove stay alert while he drove. Most of us Americans don't really know them either. Well, at least it's not just me then. My type of proper meal. Yeah, exactly, right? Like chips and candy, that's a proper meal. If you eat a lot of chips and candy at a mealtime, then that's a meal. I don't know. Stream where everything is the same but Cal is American. There is an alternate reality somewhere out there where I am the same person except I'm American. And nothing else changes. I probably still don't know how to pronounce Nevada. Nevada. God damn it. Moving on. He appreciated it and you managed the journey together. When night eventually fell into a blanket of darkness, the drive finally came to an end. Cove pulled into the parking lot of Kyra's apartment building, the glow of the car lights disappearing as he turned off the engine and let out a heavy sigh. We made it. We're here. The two of you exchanged tired smiles, having successfully and safely completed one half of the trip. With 10% more gun and Berber. I've heard Nevada pronounced both ways, so I don't think you're offending anyone with it unless they're from Nevada, lol. In the alternate universe, he's from Nevada, and he still doesn't know how to pronounce it. That would be pretty amazing, if that were the case. Oh, God. Nevada. I feel like it's Nevada. I feel like I just watched a video talking about this a while ago. I don't know, man. You were relieved to have actually arrived and eager to get out of the car and stretch your legs. You took the stairs up the building together. After a knock, you were abruptly met by a flash of green hair as Kyra opened the door and immediately took her son in her arms. There he is, my gigantic baby boy. She squeezed him for a moment, then pulled back so she could examine his face. Are you even taller than the last time I saw you? Cove gave her a fond look as she patted the tops of his shoulders proudly. You say that every time I'm here. It doesn't even make sense right now. My last visit wasn't that long ago. Kyra simply laughed before letting him go fully and ushering the two of you into her apartment. Then she turned to you, a wide grin pulling at her lips. Luis, it's so nice you came along with. And as a bonus, you've both arrived in one piece. Yeah, it's good to see you. It's been a long time. Kyra beamed at you both, and while you would have loved nothing more than to settle down and rest after the drive, you could see she wasn't going to let you go that easily. So how was the trip? I admit I was just a pinch worried. We barely made it. We almost died on the way here. Yeah, like, we blew a tire. The car, like, ran off into a ditch. It's a miracle we made it here alive, frankly. Oh, man. As someone who lives in Florida but pronounces it Florida, I feel... Oh, yeah, because, like, it's like Florida in Florida, isn't it? Some madman pronounced the I. Yeah, or it's like Florida. Can't relate. Florida. Something like that. We're not gonna worry. I'm not gonna worry Kyra and be like, we barely made it. I'll just let Cove answer it, whatever. It was fine. No problems for us. Kyra clapped her hands together, the bracelets around her wrists jingling. I'm so proud. I can hardly believe how mature you both are. Where did all those smarts come from? Cove ran a hand over his hair with an awkward chuckle. I don't know. Maybe I got some from my parents. His mom looked up at him deeply, her eyes glistening as she shook the sentimentality off with a wave of her hand. You have to be half asleep already, huh? I don't want to keep you up much longer. Early morning in any whoosies. How do you want to deal with the sleeping arrangements? I've only got my own room in Cove's, though the living room couch isn't bad. We could share a bed as bros, as straight bros, of course, because we definitely aren't both crushing on each other since we were children. Oh yeah, in case anyone hasn't seen the past ones, we are on crush level with Cove right now. For the past two, we've been on fondness, but it's like the last ones especially was like fondness, but very clearly these two have a thing and everybody knows they have a thing, but they're both dumb as bricks and they can't admit that they have a thing. So that's where we're at with Cove, and the running joke is that they are very straight. Just the best of straight bros. Any whoosies is cute. It is. Any whoosies is the cutest little catchphrase. I love that dynamic. It's great. Literally the slowest burn, these two. It's like, what, they've known each other for like over a decade, been crushing for like probably most of it, but neither of them will admit it. Weed church. Listen. We're not bringing up Weed Church here. Jesus Christ. That was like the first stream. That is a hard joke to explain. The VOD for that is up. I don't know if I ever actually... Oh, did I ever actually link it on this channel? The VOD channel? I don't think I did. I think in the About section, it's just my other YouTube. Well, if anyone wants the VOD channel, I can link it in chat if anyone wants it, but otherwise, it's all good. I'll update the About tab on the stream page after this stream, and I'll make sure I link to the VOD channel if anyone wants to go see the first stream and learn about Weed Church. Oh my god. That was a good stream. That was a really good stream. You keep your bed, Mom. Luis can use mine and I'll sleep on the couch or the floor. Whatever's easiest. It doesn't matter for one night. Kyra laughed out loud, startling you both. You raised an eyebrow at her outburst, giving her a quizzical look. Oh yeah, you'll just stay on the floor. You couldn't handle that much back when you were 13 with both your parents in the room. Oh no, she's bringing up that. Cove blushed a dark red and gaped, completely unprepared for her to pull out that embarrassing moment from the past. Hey. Mom! Oh, that's right, because that would have been when we were in the camper all together, and then Cove went up to the loft and slept with me, and then his parents found him there, and we were both teenagers, so it's like, that probably looks pretty bad. But once again, rest assured, they are both perfectly platonic bros. 100%. You blushed. Was it really necessary to talk about this? I'll take the floor. Cove shook his head, dismissing the idea immediately. No. Oh, that's my alarm. Okay, I will be right back. I just gotta go pull that roast out of the oven. It'll just be like a minute. I'll leave you with Cove being cute. Okay. Wonderful. Sorry if that was loud and you heard it. Don't worry, I'm fine. Nothing happened. I just had I have to cover it with tinfoil, and the lid on that thing is very loose, so it like fell in 3 times. But it's good. I'll have to go take that out in 15 minutes, but that's fine. Okay. God, short hair Cove looks so good. He does. Straight men going on friend dates, giving each other wedding rings and adopting kids as friends do. But no open eye kissing, because then that's gay. Exactly. Just completely platonic bros who plan to spend the rest of their life together. Maybe have some kids together, as bros do. Oh, y'all like the longer hair more? I don't know. I think his short hair is the cutest. I've heard that his long hair is more popular, but that short hair, man. That's cute. It's the good stuff. Alright. I also grabbed some water while I was up, because I had forgotten to grab that. Oh, he's insisting. He's insisting on me taking the bed. Alright. Luis is non-confrontational, so he'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll have the bed. Thank you for offering. So, would you be okay with me sleeping on the floor in the room? I'd rather be there than out in the open in the living room, even if there is the couch. Kyra given that look like, you'd rather be in the same room as him, huh? Yeah, you can sleep there. Kyra giggled softly, drawing your attention back to her. All funny stuff aside, you need to get some sleep for tomorrow. Seems like you're setting yourselves up to not get any. I know that sounds really captious, I think, but I'm a mom. I have to say these things. Come on, we're not little kids having a sleepover. We're responsible adults, right, Luis? Yes, very responsible. Cal and I are short-haired Cove Club. Cove just has drip. Cove looks good no matter what. It's true. This is very true. She says nothing, but her face says everything. She knows. True fact, though. Cove do be looking cute, no matter what. Okay, let's see. Yes, very responsible. She gave the two of you a suspicious look, and you stood up straighter, trying to prove the point. I'll leave it at that, then, for now. Just remember that the walls are thin in this apartment. If you can't settle down and sleep, I might have to separate you. The fact that she said the walls are thin, is she taking a jab at Kyra, we're straight. We're just bros. Subtle. The walls are thin. Okay, Kyra. Okay. We'll be good. And that goes right over both of our heads. We don't take the subtlety at all. We're just like, yeah, she's just talking about us, like, talking. That's what she's talking about. Uh-huh. Yup. Oh my god. Kyra clasped her hands together, her bracelets softly tinkling against each other again. It's only getting later, so I better let you get prepared for bed. She nodded toward the hallway and gave you a small smile. I'll play hostess for a sec and show you where the bathroom is first, Luis, and where you'll be staying the night. Thank you. You hoisted your travel bag over your shoulder and followed behind Kyra down the hallway. Cove shuffled along behind you, disappearing into the bedroom while his mom had you go to the restroom. Restroom. There's a word that Canadians don't say very often. Washroom, that's the word. Kyra, hey, you boys need anything? Snacks? Condoms? You're gonna tell Cove about all the Pokemon you caught in Pokemon Go during the drive? Yeah, probably. That'd be what he'd be doing. But I mean, if they're driving like in the middle of nowhere in the state, you're probably not gonna catch that many. I don't know, though. Snacks, condoms. The two of them be like, what? Huh? We're just friends, Mom. The apartment was small, but nicely decorated in soft, cool colors, with plenty of artwork hanging on the walls to give it character. It was stylish, and exactly what you would have expected from someone like Kyra. After being shown the bathroom and wishing Kyra a good night, you headed into the room and found Cove already there. He had changed into his sleepwear for the night as well. Looking around, you found the bedroom to look much the same as the rest of the apartment, but with small ocean elements you were sure Cove must have enjoyed when he stayed there. All in all, the room was pretty and clean, though it almost looked more like a hotel guest room than a bedroom. Cove only spent a few weeks out of the year there, so it made sense that it wasn't especially lived in.
So?
What do you think? It's pretty nice, huh? Mom always keeps it clean and everything, even when I'm not here. It seriously looks like a hotel room. That's sweet of her. Yeah, she's good like that. He seemed pleased enough with the response and gave you a small smile before opening the zip on his bag. When you went back to the room, you jumped in bed and under the covers, just as Cove was shuffling into his sleeping bag on the floor. You waited until he was settled in before you flipped off the lights, and a soft glow from outside peeked through the blinds, casting shadows over the floor. You closed your eyes, blocking everything out.
Night.
Night, Luis. Night, Cove. Sleep well. The room grew quiet as the two of you wound down for the night, and you found yourself listening to the sounds of the city outside the window. I freaking love that room. It's such a neat, nice room. None of the rooms in my home are even anywhere near as nice and well put together as this. I am terrible at interior decorating. Don't know how to do it. Couldn't tell you. The noise out there was so different to what you were used to back home. Cars zooming past and people out having fun instead of crashing waves and the ocean winds cocooning your house in their embrace. This feels familiar, don't you think? We've been having sleepovers for years. Cove mumbled quietly and rustled in his bedding, turning to face toward your location.
Right?
Right? It feels like I've had this view so many times, looking up over at you tucked in bed. He trailed off a little, and you assumed he was drifting off to sleep, too tired to continue the conversation. But then, as if a switch had been hit, he sprung up, startling you as he shot upright in his sleeping bag. Wait a minute. Why am I always on the floor? Oh wait, actually, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Why are you always the one on the floor? What? You raised your eyebrows at him through the dark. The times I slept over at your house, you got to stay in your bed. It was your bed, after all. But when it was my family hosting things, Dad always made sure you got a bed there. The words spilled out of him faster and faster, the pitch of his voice rising as the revelation spiraled. He'd say that you were the guest, so it was only right. No matter what, I've always been the one who takes the floor. Every time. This is a racket! Cove, oh my god. Because you kept taking the floor. God damn it, Cove. Are you just realizing that now? Cove, it's been like a decade. It's been more than a decade. I'm gonna burst out laughing. How is that only hitting you now? Don't ask me questions, my life is crumbling. I can't believe it, this has been going on for 10 years. He stopped suddenly, and you could see through the limited light that his eyebrows were angled in disbelief, his frown wobbly in shock. That's how it is in my family. My moms have always thought that it was more fun and comfortable for the guests to use their own sleeping things, rather than a stranger's bed. And in my family, the guest gets the bed because it's good to make sure your guest has a proper place to sleep. We were opposites all along, but I never even thought about it. When it looked like the situation was going to stall there, Cove sighed suddenly, his shoulders slumping in a sleep-addled defeat.
It's okay.
Forget it. It's too late to take back all those nights on the floor. At least I can think of myself as being really considerate. He sounded resigned to his fate, but despite looking on the bright side, he was still pouting. Aww. Oh man, this boy. Well then join Luis in the bed and stop being such a jerk. I mean, they could. They're just bros after all. Nothing like a platonic bro cuddle, you know? As we know. You went over to cheer him up. Slipping out of bed, you kneeled down on the floor beside him, though he promptly turned away from you and continued moping. You wrapped your arms around him. Thinking of nothing else to do, you leaned in and snuggled him into a hug, earning a grumble in response. However, you didn't miss the blush that spread across his cheeks and stained his skin. I really do appreciate what you did for me. He made a sound of acknowledgement, and you took that as a good sign. With a slight smile, he gave you a playful nudge to go back to bed, which, with a small sense of satisfaction, you did. With a tired sigh, he flopped back down. I can make do with the floor, for old time's sake. Some real humor came back to his tone. It's basically a tradition by now. Oh no, why don't we share? It's only platonic soul bro cuddling of his arms around the other's waist. Platonic people. Hey, hello. Welcome to the stream. We're being very platonic with Cove. Just a couple of platonic best friends about to ask to share a bed. Why don't we share? It's big enough. Luis. Cove was perfectly still on his back, his eyes firmly fixed on the ceiling above him. I told my mom I was gonna sleep on the floor. Oh wait, that's right, because then this would be like the same situation as last. Yeah, if he did end up sleeping in the bed with me and then Kyra came to wake us up, that would be really bad. That would be the same as last time. Oh, that's funny. I saw you stream the R Laser, so I was like, let me join this real quick. Oh, well, thank you. The blush, my heart. Oh. Alright. He sounded tense, though you hadn't meant for the offer to make him so. There was a perfectly good bed in the room that you would both fit in, and besides, you liked the idea of having him close. I feel like Cove is getting a little bit more self-aware about this as time has gone on, but Luis is still, like, as dumb as a rock and does not understand at all how this could possibly be anything but platonic bromance. Cove's getting there. Luis is still like, what? It's big enough. You've done it in the past. Yeah, I know, but it probably isn't the best idea right now. I was a pretty dumb kid.
Don't worry about it.
You're already doing me a big favor by coming here in the first place. Just let me do this one thing and give you the bed. That's what I want for this trip, okay? Pursing your lips tight, you gave a small nod and admitted defeat. Oh. Alright. Luis is dense. Two homies cuddling in bed, avoiding eye contact because they're not... Oh yeah, two homies cuddling in bed, avoiding eye contact because they're not gay. Exactly. Cove, you just gotta keep your socks... Exactly! Socks on, it's safe. Luis is me, IRL, LMAO. Yes. He says after whining about not getting the... Oh god. You know how it is. Exactly. Alright, I'll have the bed. Thanks, Cove. He made a small noise but said no more. With an accepting sigh, you pulled the covers up under your chin and got comfortable. The next day dawned, bringing with it the sounds of birds chirping happily outside the window. You opened your eyes slowly, letting them adjust to the light as you tried to recall where you were, and remembering the unfamiliar sight of Cove's second bedroom. Cove would have woken me up because I would have slept through, obviously. Same with Luis. He's just as bad as me. Rise and shine, Luis. Cove shook your shoulder and you groaned dramatically and buried your head beneath your pillow. 5 more minutes.
No way.
We gotta get started. Whoop. Okay. 1 second, I just gotta go take the stuff off that roast. 1 minute. Alright. Now I just have to pray that the cat doesn't go on the counter and eat that. Hell yeah. Alright. Cove's hot, then he's cold. He's yes, then he's no. Exactly. He's too cute. Yes. The lad. Sitting up in bed, you let out a yawn and stretched your arms above your head. You felt okay. Considering the long drive the day before and the late night, you were feeling ready to get the day started. Though you weren't as perky as him, his energy was infectious. Good morning. You pulled yourself out of bed, grabbing a fresh change of clothes and your toiletries before heading to the bathroom. After all that, you met Cove back in his room. He was sitting on the floor when you entered, sorting through a bunch of stuff in a box, determining what to bring and what to leave behind. Hey.
Hey.
Hey, can you pull out the stuff in those drawers? You nodded, though he hadn't even looked up from his task, so you knew he wouldn't have seen. Heading over to his drawers, you started the task of taking out various items and setting them on the ground in front of Cove. Oh, hey, look at this. When you turned toward the sound of Cove's voice, you found him digging through one of the drawers beneath the bed.
Neat.
Here's something I definitely need to bring. Neat. Craning your head, you got a better glimpse of what he was holding. A few faded shells, an old yellowing book. When he opened it up, there were a few dried, pressed flowers between the pages. Aww, those had been the gifts you'd given him for his mom's place. Something for him to remember you by and to make his time here less lonely. That's right, aww. He kept them the whole time. You started to feel emotional. Cove looked up at you when you sniffed quietly, seeming concerned. You wiped away the tears that were building in your eyes, feeling a little silly. Sorry. He smiled at you, his face softening. Why would you apologize? It's alright, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Just like tears pouring down my face, just like, thanks, bro. What's your opinion on Derek? Derek's cute. He's a cute little guy. I don't think I've seen his adult one. Well, I saw it in the casting document, but I haven't seen him in this game. Does he show up in this one? Or is he coming in an update? I don't remember. I don't know. Important question, but does Luis cry or does he ugly cry? I feel like Luis is a cute crier. He gets the cry that's just like really cute, where he's just like cute little cry. But if you got him like really emotional, he probably would get he could reach the ugly cry. If you really got him. Oh god, I hope that these two do confess to each other at the end of this, because my god, what a slow burn. I feel the same way. That's why I gave them to you. Cove smiled, pleased that the feeling was mutual, but then the expression became more amused. And did you keep the souvenirs I brought back? Nope, you said jokingly. Nope, threw them all away. I'm really emotional that you kept the ones from me, but I threw out yours. Oh no. At least it's not angsty. It's true, it's a slow burn, but it's a slow burn without very much angst. It's just really, really slow burn. Alright. Of course. His grin grew to completion. Thanks. Another hour passed by in silence, and you were happy to see you were making great progress with Cove's room, with only the closet left to sort through. You took a minute to take a mouthful of water from your bottle and perched on the edge of the bed, feeling productive. God, feeling productive. I wonder what that feels like. I wouldn't know. God, I love ADHD. Cove glanced over at you and paused, putting down the tape gun he had been using to seal up his boxes. You raised an eyebrow. You know, it's really strange to see you sitting in this room. Why? He frowned a little, his eyes distant and his voice quiet when he spoke next.
That's...
During the visits to Mom's, when I was sitting here alone in this room, I'd sometimes think about how you weren't here. It's a weird feeling at the time. It was a weird feeling at the time that you just weren't around. now that you're here in this exact place, I don't know how to explain the feeling. Oh yeah, absolutely. Cove and Luis's old ass men near the end of their lives. Cove, I love you, Luis. Surprised Pikachu face. Yeah, basically. They'll be like on their deathbed, he'll admit it, and Luis will just be like, what? This is coming out of nowhere. Derek will be in step 4. Oh, okay. That's right, I forgot that step 4 is still coming, and there's still DLC for step 3. Oh man. Still got lots to come. Such a mood. Thank you. He shrugged it off and smiled a little, as though he'd said enough already and didn't want to risk sounding silly. Life is pretty confusing, is all. I missed you so much while you were gone. Oh! Who was that? Who just followed? Ah, thank you. Kaminamoto, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. Okay, let's see. That's true, life makes no sense. That is true. That is true. I didn't know you thought about me while you were away. This sounds correct because Luis is clueless. I didn't know you thought about me while you were away. He huffed a laugh at that, his eyes crinkling at the corners as he made a face at you. It's not like I could forget you. He looked away, satisfied, heading over to the closet and the last of the items to be sorted. Before long, every box, closet, and drawer had been thoroughly combed through, with the items either neatly packed in boxes or organized and returned to their proper place. With a sigh of relief, you glanced around the bedroom and the work you'd done together.
All right.
We're done. Good job to us. I'm gonna change out of my PJs for the drive. Yeah. When the two of you headed out into the living room, ready to get everything finalized and hit the road, you found Kyra in the kitchen, pouring a cup of tea. Cove headed towards her, leaning casually against the counter that divided the two spaces. Hey, you didn't have to get up so early.
Come on.
Are you crazy? Of course I have to see you off before you go. You can't sneak away while I'm out cold. She beamed at him, and in all honesty, seemed more than happy to be up and getting ready for the day. Do you want some breakfast? I've got some muesli? I don't know that word. Or eggs and toast. Oh, and I got some of that fruity cereal you used to love. That's okay. We should really eat on the road. Kyra smiled sadly, a little disappointed, but she seemed to understand that your time was running thin. I thought you might say that. In that case, I packed you some snacks for the road.
What do you think?
Even if you don't end up eating them, take it anyway, just in case. You can always feed them to Cliff when you get home, and tell him I said hi. Cove laughed and shook his head, knowing his dad would love nothing more than to polish off whatever food Kyra had prepared for you.
Thank you.
Mom things, yes. There's such a mom thing. My mom is the same way about food, I swear. Anytime, like, because, you know, it's, of course, because of COVID, we haven't been able to visit, but she has, she'll sometimes, like, leave things for me if she has stuff that I need, so she'll be like, okay, I'm gonna leave this at your house. I'll be like, okay, so I go to work, I come back, and every time I come back, I'll come home and my fridge will have, like, 3 containers of some kind of food just in it now, and I'm like, okay. Thanks for leaving me food, Mom. I'll never complain. I will never complain about free food, that's for sure. Free food is good food. Thanks, Mom. You really didn't have to. Must be a mom thing to know stuff like that. Kyra smiled before resting her gaze on Cove fondly. One of the many pleasures of being a parent. She returned your smile with one of her own, before putting her cup of tea aside. Well, I'll help you get the car packed.
Sure.
The three of you got a move on, taking the boxes from Cove's bedroom and heading down to fill the back seat of the car until there was barely an inch of space left in the back and trunk. With all of you helping, it only took a couple of trips to move everything, and you were done before you knew it. Then it was truly time to say goodbye. You convened back inside the apartment where Kyra looked over the two of you with a quiet smile. It was great to see you both. Thanks for coming. She gave each of you a hug, and you felt a little sad that you hadn't been able to spend more time with her. It was good to see you too, Mom. Cove embraced her in return, the two of them holding on to each other for a few seconds longer. I'll miss you, but I'll visit again soon.
Of course.
You better. Hey, we should make plans for you to visit us too. I'll let you know when it's settled. I'd love that. Kyra bundled all the stuff she prepared into a bag and handed them over to you. You took a quick peek at what she had packed. There was fruit, nuts, seeds, hard-boiled eggs, and some veggie sticks.
Cool.
True mom stuff. Oh, good to see we've got some fresh food options now. The snacks I brought weren't. Kyra shook her head at him and let out a soft laugh, as though she wouldn't have expected anything else. I seriously hope you're feeding yourself better than that at home. Yeah, of course, just not on trips. I can live with that, then. She looked over him fondly, her eyes at last focusing on his face and filling with emotion. I'm gonna miss you, baby.
Me too.
Aww. Thank you for letting us come. No problem at all. You're welcome anytime. Kyra put an arm around you both, pulling you in tight to her sides for one final squeeze.
Bye.
Have a safe trip. We will. With a last goodbye, you exited the apartment, though Cove hesitated for a moment in the door, his expression distant. You weren't sure what he was doing, though you tentatively took a step towards him. Everything okay? Your voice seemed to bring him back to earth, and he shook his head to clear his thoughts, his green hair swaying from side to side.
Come on.
Yeah, let's go. Wait, I just realized you have the voice actor role in the GB Patch server. If you don't mind me asking, who do you voice? Oh, I am the voice of Jeremy. Jeremy in XOXO Droplets, and yes, Jeremy in Our Life as well. the wretched green gremlin himself. Oh, it was really nice, honestly, getting to come back and voice him for Our Life after I got to do him for XOXO Droplets. He's a character, that Jeremy. With that, the two of you headed back down to the car, ready to make the long trip home. Soon enough, you were on the wide open road with a car full of Cove's things, and only one destination, Sunset Bird, California. Oh, that's right, it's in California. The drive went as smoothly as could be expected, with the morning slowly creeping into midday as the miles flew by. The day flew by in a whir of open road and sunshine, and before you knew it, it was early afternoon. By that point, you had already crossed the state line. Cove announced that he planned a little stop on the way home. He was quite pleased with himself as you arrived at the precipice. The Redwood National Park. Oh yeah, that's where we went in that other one. Shaded beneath a canopy of enormous redwood trees, you drove along. Jeremy, I would have never guessed. You did a great job. Thank you so much. It's it's a fun voice to do. I'm really glad you liked it. He's a fun character to get to play. When Cove parked the car, you pushed the door to get out, and the first thing you did was look up. Enormous redwood trees surrounded you on all sides, their massive trunks shooting straight up into a canopy of foliage overhead. There were too many of them to count, stretching on and on as far as you could see. You squinted against the sunlight that was peeking through the leaves and dancing on the paths around you. It's great, right? He smiled at you from over the roof of the car before glancing around the place fondly. Remember the trip our families took here that one summer? It was cool going on a journey and seeing the forest in person, even if we didn't stay for very long.
So...
And I guess we can stay for even less this time, but oh well. It just seemed like a good time to stop by. Who knows when we'll get another chance. His voice got a little softer at the end. It seemed to be bittersweet for him, being in a place he was so fond of, but not having the time to appreciate it fully. You were pleased he stopped there. It was a beautiful place to stretch your legs and take in some fresh air. I'll put up with you for the trees. There'll be more chances in the future, I promise. Cove smiled, shoving his hands in his pockets and dipping his head. I'm gonna hold you to that. The two of you walked around for a while, completely dwarfed by the sheer scale of the redwoods. It kind of puts your view of yourself and everything in a strange perspective. You took in a lungful of clean forest air, listening to the sounds of birdsong and the cool breeze rustling through the underbrush, taking advantage of the space to move around freely. However you felt about being there, it was a totally different scene than sitting in that old car for hours and hours. You walked closer to Cove, 'cause we're bros and we walk together. He seemed tense when you approached, but he didn't move away. Eventually he relaxed a little, and the two of you walked along in a comfortable silence. Being here again, you couldn't help but reminisce on what else had happened during the trip you had taken here all that time ago. There were a lot of things that had reminded you of it recently. You looked over at Cove, who seemed to be lost in the peace of the place, and you wondered if any of it had crossed his mind. Smiling at the sight, you thought back on what had been a highlight of that long-gone vacation. We spent the night in the loft together. Well, if it were Luis saying it, he'd be oblivious. So, we spent the night in the loft together. There was barely enough room for the two of us, but it was fun. Cove chuckled and shook his head at the moment. It was memorable, especially when I got caught up there by my parents in the morning. He laughed, and soon enough you were joining him. It had been pretty embarrassing for him at the time, but you were glad he could look back and laugh about it now. You continued chatting about the trip a little while longer, about the things you had seen and done, and even eaten. A lot of the memories Cove had of the trip were similar to your own, but you were also surprised to hear of a few other things from his point of view. So much had happened, and there was no shortage of things to talk about. The place certainly had a nostalgic quality about it. Your spirits were light as you ambled past information boards and picnic areas. But before long, you decided it was time to bring this short stop to an end and head back to the car to get on the road again. Cove sighed when you finally reached the vehicle, jangling the keys in his hand before unlocking the doors. Two bros chilling in a forest 2 feet apart because we're really good friends. Exactly. You got it.
Well,
I wish we didn't have to go, but we're going to be responsible and not stay longer than we should. How grown up of you. He smiled slightly, and with that the two of you jumped into the car, buckled in, and put it in drive. Pardon me. You were getting closer and closer to town as the sun started setting, though we're still far enough away that the radio stations were unfamiliar to you. Aw, that's a cute drawing, look at that. See, his short hair is so cute, look at that. Oh. Cove twisted the dial this way and that before stumbling onto a channel with a song he seemed to like. That was a rare gift from the fates in a sea of static, strange radio jockeys and grating tunes. His face immediately brightened at the sound of it, and he drummed his fingers along the bottom of the steering wheel happily. Sitting back in his seat, he bobbed his head and shimmied his shoulders in time to the tune, all while mouthing along with the words. Occasionally, he even lifted one hand from the wheel to gesture with his fingers for a specific line. You smiled. You got the impression he was pleased to be heading back home after everything. The song ended and Cove reached over to start cycling through the radio stations again. Upon finding nothing tolerable, he flipped the dial off in defeat and leaned back in his seat with a sigh. Cove CG's image time. I am here for these CGs. These are good CGs. The miles went on, and any energy you had earlier was beginning to drain away. You imagined home and your family. You'd be there together soon. I spent all these years living in Sunset Bird and taking a few weeks each summer visiting my mom in that second room. That's not gonna happen anymore. Not really. I can still see my parents, but the way it all works between us has changed. Forever. He paused, the silence stretching. A serious look settled on his face, his thoughts far away. I feel the same about my parents too. It's definitely weird, the switch from knowing your parents as a kid to knowing your parents as an adult is different. I know they'll always be there for me, but we don't really have the same relationship we used to. Cove's mouth pulled into a tight line, and he gave a small nod. You got the feeling he understood how you felt. Cove stared straight ahead down the long, long road. The path looked like it'd never end from where you were, but that wasn't true. Eventually, he found a few more words to say.
I'm so glad.
I think it's good we were able to do this trip without any parents or chaperones. It was just us. We did it all. I don't know. I feel a little more independent now. A little more ready for what's ahead. Right. It's like a first real step to be on our own all the time. It'll be here before we know it. The topic seemed to wear on Cove, and he made an attempt to find something else to speak on. So, I'm kind of sad about getting back. I'm gonna miss having you right there tonight. Cove? Cove? Are you dropping not so subtle hints now? Oh, I see. He grimaced and leaned forward, his shoulders tense and his eyes hyper-focused on the road ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to sound weird or anything. It's just nice to hang out. As platonic best friends. That isn't strange, I can understand it. Can you, Luis? Do you actually understand what he's saying? Cove gave you a small smile, one that you returned, and the two of you fell into a more comfortable silence. The sky outside grew even darker as the hours passed by, the stars blinking on like tiny fireflies painted onto a canvas of blue. The scenery continued transitioning between open roads, industrial areas, and beach towns, becoming increasingly recognizable as time went on. You felt somewhat disconnected from the world around you as you watched it through your window, your tired mind growing hazy. It was a strange, reflective feeling, but peaceful nonetheless. Soon enough, the world would return to you, and you'd find your feet firmly on the ground. It couldn't be helped. The adventure would end, life could continue, but your memories would linger on. Wow. Cove? Good stuff. Let's do one more. Okay, we got talks or charity. Is there a preference? Is there any specific one folks would like to see this round? Gosh, whichever one we do, I guess next stream it's gonna be the other one and then the ending. Oh boy. Charity. Okay. More hype for charity? Yeah, we want to do charity? I'm down to do charity. Alright. I'll save quickly. Just to... Oh, wait. No, that's the wrong one. There we go. You think talks is good. Ooh, okay, so that's one for charity, one for talks. Anything else? Anyone else got a vote? We'll do this democratically. Hi, Anna. What did you miss? We just finished Drive, so one of the ones, but we're just about to start a new one, so you kind of came in at the perfect time. You do talks, TBH. I'm down for talks. Okay, so we wanna do talks then. Okay. We've done one more, so now we're gonna do one more run. We're gonna do talks. Let's see what happens. Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your daydreams were chasing each other, none sticking around long enough to become a firm plan, but you really didn't mind that right now. A tapping worked its way into those dreams. Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. A grin popped on your face as though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Oh, that's right, it's obviously Cove coming in the window, yep. Heading to the window, you could see Cove outside. His habit of climbing this way really was a true Coveism. He'd rather scale your house than wait the couple extra minutes for you to come down, as you do with your bro. You held out a hand to him. You offered Cove a hand to help him. Once he was mostly inside, he took it to help steady the last bit of his entrance, though considering how many times he'd done this, he hardly needed the help. Frankly, I'm shocked that I have anything on my windowsill since he climbs in there constantly. You'd figure I would just leave the window clear. You halfway to affiliate, nice. Yeah! We got a few more followers this stream, so we're getting there. We're getting there. Very exciting. Your bro. Exactly. Our best bro. But yeah, why in the world would Luis leave anything on his windowsill? Like, I know I put it there, but like, Cove's coming in there all the time. There's no point.
Hey.
Hey, Luis. Hey to you. You think my mom should invest in some bigger windows? Cove laughed at that and took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He hummed with a teasing look on his face. He didn't make my life easier, that's for sure. Cove's voice came out quietly with a strangely pleased smile on his face. Did something happen? Cove opened his mouth to answer, only to have your phone vibrating, cut him off. You both turned to where it rested, a little further up on your bed. It was still face down, so you couldn't tell who was calling. It's okay. Your attention shot back to Cove. He smiled at you awkwardly.
Don't worry about it.
Go check. It could be important. I'll wait. Thanks. You shuffled forward and scooped the little noisemaker into your hand. You flipped it over and checked the caller ID. It's Miranda. Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi too. With a nod, you accepted the call and set it to speaker. Hi, Miranda. Hi. There was something off about her tone. Cove met your gaze and you saw the same confusion in his expression.
Have you heard from Terry?
Have you heard from Terry at all? Or did you hear about her from Cove? Huh? No, she hasn't called me, but Cove is with me right now. Hey. Oh, hi, Cove. Is that what you were going to say? He shook his head no before realizing that it wasn't a good enough answer when one person couldn't actually see it.
No.
No, Terry hasn't called me today either. Is something wrong? At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself together any longer. The muffled sobs from the other side of the line were unmistakable. Whoa, this is going a different direction than I thought it would. What the heck is going on? Terry doesn't like me anymore. If she ever did. Oh no. What? That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us. Yeah, why do you think that? She sniffled and there was a pause as you could hear her shift the phone to her other hand. Terry was here the other night watching movies with me. We were up super late. She realized her parents probably went to bed so they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep then. Dad works early. I tried telling her it was okay to just spend the night and she could text her parents what happened, but Terry really didn't want to. You glanced at Cove. He looked equally as unsure as you about where the story was going. It didn't sound like a friendship-ending situation. I suggested things to make it easier if she was nervous, like she could sleep by herself in my room while I stayed somewhere else. Yeah? And I said we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have just kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. I know not everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't even tell me what was really wrong or what I could do to help. I thought we could tell each other anything. I guess I was wrong. Aw. Did she stay in the end?
No.
No, we got too loud in the kitchen and my dad woke up. He offered to drive her home when he heard what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad after having to do that when he needed rest, but that was it. She isn't talking to me anymore. You could hear every bit of the tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. This continued to be a shock for your neighbor, but Cove recovered and spoke gently. I'm really sorry. There's no way Terry wanted to make you feel this bad, or that she's done with your friendship because of this. Miranda's sniffling continued. You hoped she had plenty of tissues handy. Oh man, I was not expecting this to go this way. The voice you do for Miranda, the switch you tell. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Voice acting is my job. I do my best to be good at it when I can. Ugh. Oh gosh, though, this is not the way I expected this to go. It'll be okay. It had to be. You couldn't imagine any alternative. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew that the crying was far from being done. I thought she'd have reached out to one of you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone. Yeah. Sorry for bothering you and Cove about this. Hey, we're here for you.
Right.
Right, you can tell us things. Thank you. Her shaking voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own.
Is that all right?
If you do hear from her or anything, could you let me know if she's alright? We can. Thanks. Let's talk later, okay? Bye. 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 That didn't really seem like an especially productive point to end the call, though you also weren't sure where to go from there. Looking to Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours. With no alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on the bed. Cove crossed his arms, a frown creasing his face. He began to pace the length of your room, clearly trying to put the pieces together in his head in a way that made sense. This is so dramatic. You were worried. Biting the inside of your cheek, you stared at the ground. Hearing Miranda so distraught like that was not easy. And what about Terry? The uncertainty was tearing you up. The empty state of your head before learning this was not helping you now. You couldn't put two thoughts together, and flopping back on your bed, you stared into space. We should probably try calling Terry. Cove's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He'd stopped pacing, but you saw a perturbed look on his face. Yeah, I'm worried about her too. You bounced up and moved to his side, ready to act on whatever plan you two could come up with. Cove started with the easiest thing. He pulled out his phone and called Terry. Cove let it ring, and ring, and ring, and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voice message. Oh boy. Your shoulders slumped and Cove looked even more troubled, if that was possible. He turned to you as if for some lifeline. Could you try calling? I'm gonna send a text just like, hey, I was trying to reach you, call me, or something. Yeah. You took up your phone once more. Unfortunately, another set of interminable rings. The line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Hanging up, you saw Cove visibly deflate. He rubbed his arm, eyes distant, openly struggling with the whole affair. I don't like this at all. They're fighting, we barely know anything, and we're supposed to just wait and see? Despite it only being a minute since he texted Terry, Cove checked his phone again. He was desperate for progress, for something, and he frowned as you watched him. Oh no. He getting worked up. You need to try to relax. Cove stared hard at the screen as though he was trying to will a new message to appear. As your words sank in, his gaze slid over towards you. Just a little bit? Come on, you're working yourself up. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath and released it slowly. It wasn't much, but you could see him ease up slightly. Yeah, you're probably right. Cove was still gripping his phone with both hands as though it might fly away if he let go. He looked at you with almost painful earnestness. Should we... What do we even say if we do hear from one of them? His pacing resumed as he attempted to answer his own question. We should probably tell them to talk to each other instead of only us, maybe? He slowly came to another halt, like a gear winding down. We should find out Terry's side of the story. We should just comfort Miranda and let up with Terry. I don't know. We should only tell them to work it out between themselves. I wondered why you always... You wondered why you always had to come up with you didn't say anything. Oh god, I don't really like any of these. I don't know. Your heart sank in your chest as Cove lowered his head. You realized then just how much he'd been counting on you to come up with a reply. Is something wrong?
Fine.
I'm fine. Ah, yes, the universal sign that you're actually fine. His words came out in a quiet mumble, and he still wouldn't look at you anymore. A lump in your throat made it hard to swallow. For several minutes, you both remained there in silence, drowning in your thoughts. Eventually, Cove turned around. I'm gonna text Terry that we already know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us because she won't have to pretend or explain. Can't do that. Miranda didn't say it was alright to admit she talked to us. I think you're pushing too much. Cove's eyebrows grew together and his grip on his phone tightened. Cove, just because you're upset doesn't mean you can cross lines, especially when we don't know the whole story. Cove bit his bottom lip. You could see in his posture that you'd made sense to him, but he was fighting his desire to agree with you and keep going with his own way. Oh, I feel that, Cove. I know the stubborn-headedness. It's like, I'm upset. Don't make sense to me. I need to be upset right now. You're gonna make things worse, man. His shoulders slumped, like they couldn't hold up to your resistance anymore. His words trailed out softly. Would it really? Ugh. Yes, you have to give it time. You can talk to me instead. A small noise escaped his lips. All the frustration at the situation crumbled away from his face, and he spoke softly. Thanks, Luis. I'm glad it's not just me with all this happening. That stubbornness, yeah. Oh, man. Cove took one last look at his phone and then put it away. His effort at a smile was meager but earnest.
It's okay.
We can just forget about it for a while. Terry will talk to us when she wants to. He smiled just a bit. Even this slight lessening of tension between you and Cove was working wonders on your shaking heart. The last thing any of you needed was more division among your friends. A silence stretched on in what felt like hours, but it likely wasn't that long before there was a knock at your bedroom door and Mom peeked in. I like to choose the choices that would make my MC fight him. Wait, you can actually fight Cove? Oh. Oh no, you can actually fight with him? Ooh. Ooh. I'm curious, because a couple of those did seem kind of confrontational. You know what? Just for the fun of it, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna just see what happens if I'm a bit more confrontational with him. I want to see. I want to know. Yeah, okay, I don't know. Something wrong?
Fine.
He's fine. I'm fine. Okay, yeah, because this one is a bit more, like, angry sounding, so... I want to see... You could fight with him? Yeah, I want to know. Let's get some angst in here. You know what? It's... These two boys have too much fluff. They need a bit of angst. Just a bit of angst as a treat. Okay. You can't do that. Miranda didn't say it was alright to admit she talked to us. Okay, this is probably a good way to get him to fight you. Being confrontational. Miranda called you, asking if Terry had opened up about it. And then she told us what happened in private. She didn't know if Terry would be okay with any of that. That doesn't make it fine to do that to her. Terry isn't talking to Miranda at all. If you want to tell Terry, you could still talk to Miranda about it first.
I get it.
We could, but if Miranda wanted it to be a big secret, then she should have just said that. And if she does want to hide it, I don't think we should. Oh, okay, this is spicy. Ooh, he mad. Ooh. You're being really mean right now. I feel like that's a bad thing to say. Being tense doesn't mean it's okay to act like this. You could be like, act like what? What are you saying? Being tense doesn't mean it's okay to act like this. Yeah, okay, they're act like what? Selfish. His eyes grew wide. The word had escaped like a caged bird seeing freedom, yet there was nothing liberating about it. Cove's eyes narrowed into sharp slits, a look that was almost unheard of for him to direct at you. His tone of voice was equally as cunning. Is that what you want? For us to start fighting too? No. I wanna really fight you. He called it. Oh man. Oh god. Okay. I don't want to go too far with him though. I don't really want to fight him. Oh man. Oh, I feel bad. That's not what I want, but that doesn't mean it isn't what's happening. Glaring daggers into him, you tried to collect your thoughts. Seriously, what do you want from me? What do you want me to say? Why don't you say nothing? Because anything you have said just makes everything worse. Oh, harsh. You're gonna make me cry, Cove. Gonna make me cry like a baby. Oh no. I'm living for it. Okay. Man. It has not. It sounds like such a kiddish thing to say. I'm tempted to just start crying because that feels kind of in character. You started to cry. The tears bubbled up in your eyes and spilled over. It wasn't the face you wanted to show him right now, but you couldn't stop yourself. Finally, it seemed to dawn on him what his words had been doing to you. All the anger and frustration crumbled away, leaving a look of contrition in its place. He put his phone away. He made an effort to smile, but it was meager and did nothing to conceal the sadness in his eyes.
I'm sorry.
I'm really sorry, Luis. I never know what to do with this kind of thing. Maybe we should just forget about it. Okay, and then it goes back to this. Oh man, I am curious though. I'm like, heart is breaking at the same time. I kind of want to know what happens if I just stay mad at him, honestly. Okay. Could never press the crying option. If I'm mad, I'm going all out. Okay. Alright. I'm genuinely curious because like they've never fought in the whole game, so I want to know. It has not. And what do you think you said that's helped? And how do you think what you said has helped? Well, hopefully it would have stopped you from behaving even worse, but I guess not. Cove stole one last look at his messageless phone and then put it away. He ran a hand through his hair and shot you a cold look. Those aquamarine eyes turned into twin stones. I'm done. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm going home. Oh shit, he actually walks out. Oh boy. Oh my god. He actually did, wow. And briskly walked out of your room. Without thinking, you followed a few steps behind and watched him speed through your house and then out the front door. Your feet froze on the threshold. Cove started crossing the street. He didn't look back once. Okay, well... No way. I wouldn't be able to go farther than this. No. Wait. The word burst from your lips, the sight of him walking away more than enough to set it loose. You continued after him and hesitantly stopped when Cove froze in the middle of the road. He still didn't look at you. All the fury you'd felt was smothered by a cooling anguish. You couldn't let him leave, not like this. Cove. Oh, the quaver in your voice clearly reached him because his shoulders sunk lower. You can come back. Oh. Oh no. You made him run away. Oh, honestly, this is a cute resolution though with it, because I mean, it makes sense. You both got angry, but then yeah. He peeked back around hesitantly, like his feet were stuck to the tarmac, but eventually he returned to your side, head down. Neither of you said anything initially. It was awkward until Cove finally plucked up, trying to mend fences. Sorry for making things difficult. When his gaze lifted back to yours, you saw light gleaming off newly shed tears. Would it be alright to keep waiting together? Yeah. An awkward silence grew between you both. Then you turned and pointed at your door. We don't have to stand around here. We can go inside. Cove's eyes lit up like he'd been waiting for you to say that. Together you headed inside.
Hey.
Hey, Luis. And hi there, Cove. Ma followed right after, hearing the greeting her wife had just given. Mom's face twisted with concern when she saw your expressions.
Everything okay?
What's with the long faces? You both okay? We're okay. Your body language could not have contradicted you more strongly, and you knew it. You couldn't even lift your eyes off the floor, as though the weight of your worry was dragging your head down. Miranda called earlier. She and Terry are fighting, but none of us know what's going on with Terry. Your parents exchanged a meaningful look, though its meaning was lost on you.
I am so sorry.
I'm so sorry to hear there's trouble with your friends, sweetie. Is there anything we can do to help? Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Cove rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No, we're just waiting to see if Terry calls or texts or if Miranda does. Well, at least we can help you take your mind off things while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Lonnie. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Mom gave you a soft smile and added, This will be good, especially since it might help make up for what happened at the farmer's market. Oh yeah, that whole thing. Oh man. Look at him, crying. Made stupid choices sometimes. I love all the parents in this game. They're good. All the parents are great in their own ways. Oh man, I feel so bad. That's interesting though. Like I would never have known that the scene could go that way. I would have just assumed that you and Cove don't fight. Interesting. Just to piss Cove off, especially on my run. You and Cove don't like each other at all. Oh, were you playing like the indifference route, like the direct indifference? I know Alex was playing direct indifference. I honestly like that they have that option, that like there's so many choices for how you and Cove can actually have your relationship, how it can be. I like it a lot. Yes, it'll be wonderful. I'll go see what Liz is up to right now. Excited, she fluttered a few steps away and then stopped. She pivoted on her heels and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
No trouble.
And of course, Cliff will be welcome too. Knowing your family was always there for you, that couldn't be underestimated. In fact, it meant everything to you that your moms cared so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. That's nice of you.
You're welcome.
You're both very welcome. Don't sweat it, not so kiddos. Leave everything to us. Just relax and we'll call you when it's all together. You nodded and your moms dispersed for now, springing into action for their impromptu get-together. Turning to Cove, you motioned with your hand for him to follow. If you were going to wait, might as well be in your room. Let's go upstairs. Sure. You flopped down on your bed, feeling like you could sink into it and disappear. Cove, meanwhile, took a spot on a chair off to the side. You sighed at the same time, and Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. He gave his phone another quick check, and his eyebrows furrowed. Still nothing? Yep. This is crap, isn't it? Yep. Cove chewed the inside of his cheek, as if to mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him. Indifference route broke my heart into pieces. I can't do that route. I don't even like Cove. I'm a Derek appreciator, not a Cove one. That's fair. I think doing the indifference for the first stage is really interesting because it's like, you know, you've just met, you two don't really know each other, and then there's some interesting build up, and then like I'm a sucker for the slow burn, so like I go for like indifference in stage 1, and then just like friendship, fondness in stage 2, and then like you get to stage 3 and then it's a crush, but still just a crush and you still won't really admit it, you know, like I like that slow burn of just slowly building up your relationship with Cove. It's cute. I don't really think I have any characters in this game that I don't like straight up. They're all really nice, honestly. I think I'm kind of indifferent for Lee. Like I would probably pick her last out of anyone to hang out with, but like I don't dislike her. So that's a plus for me. I don't have a single character in the game I think I actually dislike. Well, except for Shiloh, but he's not from this game to start with, so I don't count that. Shiloh is the only one that I just... Well, I don't like him. Ugh. I always chose I would marry him. Cove, what's wrong? What's really wrong? One disagreement doesn't make you act like this. That got a pointed pause in his movement. Cove was carefully trying to put his thoughts together. He spoke in a fragile voice. When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you can do. At least when you're in a fight yourself, you have some responsibility, some control over it all. I wish it didn't have to happen, but that isn't possible, so... Well, I guess. His attempt at giving a nonchalant shrug after that was pitiable. True, but you're right. It can't be helped. I know. He replied like he could barely muster the strength to speak. Well, we just have to focus on the things we can impact. Or at least try. You turned to Cove, hoping your eyes conveyed the message you were feeling better than your words. Yeah. His gentle nod told you that they did. There was a question you had to ask. Is it because of what happened with your parents? Cove ran a hand through his hair, a strained smile spreading across his lips. For him, this pain struck close to his heart. Just as quickly as it had come, his smile was gone, lost amidst his faraway gaze. Yeah, you got it. It's like my parents. Despite knowing him for so many years, Cove had never spoken of the years before he moved to Sunset Bird, before his parents separated, in any detail. He whispered his thoughts distantly, almost unconcerned with whether you could hear them or not. They used to fight all the time. I think they got along when I was a baby. I mean, they had to have wanted to be with each other at some point. But when I was old enough to remember anything, it was already bad. There was always something wrong, and I could never help. I just wanted them to be happy. You tried to imagine your moms breaking up, and the very idea scared you. But Cove had endured that for real. I'm sorry. Luis.
Don't worry about it.
It's okay. Despite that revelation, Cove gazed reassuringly at you. It's not like that anymore. Things are different now. Things are so different now. I don't even really think about it. Again, the sorrow reasserted itself. When he continued, you could barely hear him. Though, I guess it's pretty obvious I haven't forgotten either. You hugged him, of course! We had all that angst. Now we have to have the good stuff. You obby hate Jeremy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I hate Jeremy, of course, of all the characters. Leaves the stream because I love Shiloh. Okay. I know the kind of person that Shiloh is IRL, and that is my least favorite kind of person. I can relate to Cove in this one. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people can definitely relate to Cove's experience there. My parents aren't together, but they divorced before I was like old enough to know, like to remember anything, so it's funny. I actually remember like going to like preschool, like just before kindergarten age, and then like being stunned to find out that people's parents lived together. I was like, that's not real. That's not how it works. Your parents don't live together. That's crazy. I just assumed that everyone's parents did not live together, and then when I found out that was not the case, I was stunned. I was very surprised. But yes, we're gonna hug Cove, obviously, because angst is good, but then you have to... It's like you got the hurt, and now you gotta get the comfort, obviously. You crossed the room, picking up a little bit of speed, and Cove's eyes widened. He shot out of the chair and stood waiting for you with a nonplussed look. Gah! When you collided into him, wrapping your arms around his middle and knocking the air out of his lungs, all mystery was gone. Cove squeaked.
Oh.
Just, oh. He returned the gesture longingly. Exhaling, you pressed your cheek into the warmth of his chest. The tension stuck inside you released like a river flowing into the ocean that was Cove. The firmness of his hug told you Cove didn't plan on letting go anytime soon. You both needed the comfort and closeness just a little bit longer. God, I miss being able to give people hugs. I haven't hugged someone since March of last year. This game is like making me feel things just about physical comfort from another human being. Pain. Balanced, exactly. Gotta get that balance. When he finally did, the two of you took a seat again, but this time side by side on your bed. Today was a lot, huh? Yeah, it was. You leaned against him. Resting the side of your head onto his shoulder, you glanced up at his face. Cove watched you affectionately. In that gentle gaze, you finally felt like everything was going to be okay. No matter what happens, we can make it work. His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. You chuckled, resting your head comfortably back on his shoulder.
Me too.
I think so too. I felt that. I miss hugs, right? I miss hugs so much. This game is like giving me like the phantom feeling of a hug because it's just been so long and it's like Someday we will all get hugs again, and that will be a great day. And for a while you stayed like that. A comfortable quiet fell between you, and the sun fell with it. The warming calm ended when Cove gasped sharply. You spun, half expecting to find him nursing an injury, but instead found him staring straight ahead. What?
Oh my god.
I think my phone just vibrated. Out of context, that would look so funny. Just shocked face. I think my phone just vibrated. Check it out. Right. I also appreciate the Cove, like me, leaves his phone on silent. Who needs text tones when you can just hear the vibration? He patted his pocket, fumbling in his panic, and yanked the phone out. The force of the action nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it just in time. His eyes owned in on the screen. It's Terry. Thank God. She says she's sorry. He looked back to you, eyes wide as his nerves started to fray once more. What should I say? Ask her what's going on. Okay. He flashed you a shaky smile as he began to type. You suspected that he'd had similar thoughts himself, but wanted the reassurance of a second opinion. Cove's phone buzzed nearly as soon as the message was sent. It's Terry again. She's talking to us. You leaned in, watching the conversation unfold on Cove's screen.
Right.
She's gonna actually call us. Cove held his breath as you waited. Though he was good with people, he'd never been at ease managing conflict. His phone rang out. Cove jammed the answer button. He switched the phone into speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. But despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke. Hey. It was tentative, a white flag fluttering in the wind. Luis is here too. Hi, we've been worried about you.
Hey.
Hey, buddies. Terry's voice was barely recognizable without her usual quick patter and energy.
Are you okay?
Are things okay? I don't know. Probably not. Cove tensed, his free hand coiling into an anxious fist. Can you talk to us about what happened? You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much, I was at Randy's house. We decided to watch some movies, and some movies she super liked that I'd never seen before. Turns out there's a lot of those. We watched one, then another, and another. We were having so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another one to share with me. I didn't really think about the time. I only wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. It was Randy, you know? I wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. I get it. When I finally saw the time, and oh no, it was way too late. I already knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath, her voice becoming softer when she resumed talking. I was so stressed out. I just couldn't deal with it. Miranda wanted to help. She kept coming up with ways to make it better and trying to figure out why I was so upset and stuff. I was trying to answer her questions, and there were so many, but I really couldn't answer all of them. I didn't even know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. It made my head ache. I still had the first problem and Randy there trying to help, blasting all these questions and suggestions at me faster than I could even think. She gulped audibly, sniffing. I got frustrated and told her to just leave me alone. But then she wanted to talk about why I wanted that. And we started having a fight in the kitchen. It woke Randy's dad up. We told him how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me, so Mr. Eckert offered to do it. That's nice of him. Terry groaned. I know! I accepted because I definitely couldn't stay then, not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. But I feel awful and embarrassed. Why did I yell at Randy and hurt her feelings? I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having to drive me home. What do you say after that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start. And I don't want to make it worse by saying the wrong thing and fighting again. So, I'm not talking. Terry, Randy isn't mad you didn't want to stay or that you fought. She just wants to feel like you can talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want. She'll listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it. Terry lamented mournfully on the other end of the line. But he had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there would be no resolution. You looked at Cove, hunched over the phone, staring pensively into it and searching for a solution. This couldn't be solved with the other key party missing. But what if you brought them in? Your phone was still free. You suggested calling up Miranda now. What if we called Miranda? That way you could talk to her but wouldn't have to do it alone. Cove brightened up. The concerned furrow in his brow, which had taken root when Miranda first called, eased.
Well,
that could work. Terry, are you up for it? She made a noise that wasn't a word, but nevertheless conveyed her hesitation and worry. But she brought it to a close with a decisive exhalation, as if pushing all negative thoughts from her body. All right, I'll do it. Cove nodded. Now that you've received approval from everyone, you pulled out your phone and called Miranda. She set it to speaker and waited for her to pick up. Luckily, she did.
Hi.
Hi, Luis.
Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere, but it was loud enough for your needs. Hi, you're on speaker. Terry is on speaker too, on Cove's phone.
Oh.
She paused while she digested this information. You watched the phone screen, hoping that she wouldn't hang up as a result.
Really?
I was on screen on a Discord call and I had stopped to do something while he said, I think my phone just vibrated and someone joined. That's great. Perfect timing. Oh, really? Yep, it's really me. Can you hear my voice all the way from your house to theirs and then mine?
I can.
You and Cove exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to break and wondering who would be the one to do it. As the quiet dragged on, you caught Cove chewing his cheek. He must have weighed up on the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came in the form of one sniff followed by another from Cove's phone.
Sorry.
Sorry, Randy. I hope you still like me. What? You were the one acting as if you didn't like me.
Her tone was defensive, no doubt a result of her wounds from last night still being raw. No way! Everyone likes Randy! You're wonderful. Your eyes met Cove's. His phone was tilted towards you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping that the signal was strong enough to convey every nuance of tone. Cove did likewise, bringing his cell right next to yours, even bumping against it as he shifted his grip. I didn't know what to say. That's the only reason I wouldn't talk to you. If I had known the answer, I'd have called you right away. Miranda murmured on the other end of the line.
You didn't want to stay. Anything I tried to do bothered you, and you could have just told me you didn't know.
Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did a dumb thing and didn't want to help with it. And I didn't want help with it. I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. It made me keep doing It made me keep doing dumb things.
Oh.
When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as the words.
I'm sorry.
Staying up late watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it, and that's what I thought anyway. but I should have given you space. I'm sorry for being so pushy and sensitive.
Hardly. Miranda Eckert having a flaw? I've never heard of such a crazy thing. Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle. Cove cleared his throat.
Maybe you should call each other now? Sorry.
Sure.
Can do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Luis and Cove. She hung up after squeezing in another quick bye, though not giving you or Cove room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed, the noise tinkling gently like wind chimes in a summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thank you for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can answer Terry's call. Bye.
Bye, and good luck. Bye, talk to you soon. Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. The room felt emptier without the other voices in it. Cove expelled a sigh that crashed through the newly fallen silence. He dropped his arms to his sides, letting his head hang down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. I'm just so relieved it's okay. Cove scratched at his face, his expression cloudy. I think I need to find better ways for dealing with conflict because that was awful. We could all probably do better at that. Cove meekly smiled as he rubbed at his eyes, weariness creeping over him, and mumbled his next words. We can talk about it another day. Conflict resolution methods? Huh? Oh, no, forget it. Your eyebrows rose and then a light bulb went off in your head. Before Miranda called, didn't you say there was something you wanted to say? Cove's original visit had been thrown so off kilter that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to when he'd first turned up. Now you did, though. You remembered, or I think that's now that you did, though, you remembered that he had been perky when he'd arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cove brushed his hands against his now folded arms shyly. Well, yeah, maybe. I'm not exactly sure it counts as news or even good. It just is what it is. I'm happy about it, though. You were curious, but you didn't want to push Cove if he didn't want to speak about it. You don't have to say anything, but if it makes you feel good, I think it's good news. Cove chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head. It's fine. If you want to hear, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet as if a different posture might give him the support he needed for the conversation. I didn't want to make it a big deal, but I just know what my sexuality is now. Aw. Oh. A real subject change, huh? He chuckled. True, it was unexpected, but you were excited that Cove had come to understand himself more, and glad he wanted to share that with you. That's great. Tell me more. Cove drew a breath, straightening up. Not straightening up, gaying up. I'm demisexual, so most of the time I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical wants and stuff. It's only in some situations when I'm already really emotionally and romantically connected to someone that I start to ever really think about anything sexual, and it's only with them. Hell yeah. Demisexual rep, hell yeah, Cove. Hard same, my guy. I hadn't heard the term until pretty recently, and it just made a lot of sense once I knew what it meant. I had a word that fit how I felt. Mood.
Yeah.
And I'm pan-romantic, because I've never had a preference for a specific gender or anything, so yeah. That makes sense. Cove looked down at the floor. Being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which you were sure he'd spent a long time trying to figure out, seemed to be kind of weird for him. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face, and when he looked up again, his gaze was steadfast. All this talk of Cove's sexuality made you reflect about your own. I'm pretty sure I just gave Luis what my headcanon sexuality is for him last time, so I'd say my feelings hadn't wavered. Cove had known for years now. It was heartwarming that he had reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussing his own. You felt even closer. You felt his tiredness deep in the marrow of your bones. It had been a tiring day. Now everything was neatly wrapped up, for today at least, and you had earned a rest. You'd had some good talks and come out of it not only knowing each other better, but yourself too.
Hey.
Hey, we should probably head downstairs soon. If your moms are still wanting everyone to get together? Yeah, that's right. With a renewed spring in your step, you led the way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. Good to see you both.
Hey!
Hey. Here we were, trying to corral everyone into a group, but the two of you were already upstairs this whole time. Of course, we were together. You paid Luis to stick with me, or did you forget? Oh, just bringing that up, huh? Oh boy. The statement was... Wait, has he not told the rest of them this? Oh my god. The statement was meaningless to your family, who looked to each other for answers in vain. Mr. Holden, who got the message loud and clear, seemed embarrassed. He chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Ouch, son. You always know when to remind me of that one. Uh-huh. I can't let you live it down yet. Can we hear exactly what this secret is? The suspense is killing us.
Right.
Alright. I better get everyone up to speed. He held up his hands, palms out, pacifying his audience, or perhaps holding them up as a shield in advance. Oh god, he hasn't told them this yet. Cliff? You're a moron. Oh, hi! Do you want to come see the stream? Yeah? Oh boy. We have a visitor, everyone. My son has come to see the stream. Hi. You're all dough. You just woke up, didn't you? There you go. Sparta. Yes, the son has arrived. He is here, and you will probably hear him purr now. Hi. Oh, hello. The lad. The lad is here. He's so good. I can't believe that he hasn't told the rest of them this yet, though. That first day I met Cove, I'd been worrying about Cove being all alone for the summer.
Well...
There weren't a lot of kids around, and he wasn't exactly on the best terms with me at that time. He glanced around at your family, gauging their responses. Hi, Sparta. I felt like this was my one shot, so I kind of offered him $20 to be friends with Cove, and added that he couldn't tell him about it. Liz gasped. Mom was staring incredulously at Mr. Holden, while Mom's eyebrows had retreated to her hairline. You and Cove, already knowing the story, were the only ones unaffected. But after a while, I really did honestly forget it even happened. He raised his hands higher, now level with his shoulders. Not a bad idea, you thought. If Mom felt inclined to throw a cushion at him, he'd probably manage to block it in time. I know that's bad, but I've had so many grand ideas over the years, it's hard to keep track of them all. Cove smiled, placing his hands on his hips and shaking his head at his father's antics.
Seriously?
I can't believe you. Though also, I totally can. Your moms were less indulgent. The shock had ebbed away to displeasure. Mom's foot was tapping rapidly as she frowned at the next-door neighbor, while Ma had her arms crossed over her chest and her lips pursed. Oh, Cliff does some questionable things sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. I'm sorry, Luis. I'm sorry to your parents, too. That was way out of bounds. Don't worry about it. Everything worked out. Yeah. Your moms gave each other that look where they seemed to communicate with eyes alone. Alright, well, that's that then, and it won't happen again.
Absolutely.
It definitely won't.
Alright.
Good. It was a little surprising that they were letting him off the hook, but on the other hand, it was a long time ago now, and you were sure your moms remembered those painful early days of Cove's arrival, too. Mr. Holden wasn't a potential bad influence anymore, so a lecture would be pretty moot. Instead, your ma gave him a lenient smile.
In that case.
Now that it's settled, why don't we find something else to do? Nods of agreement cascaded through the group in a couple waves at the suggestion. Mr. Holden's shoulders slumped with the release of tension. He brought his hands down, tucking them away into his pockets. How about cards? There was a murmur of interest from the others. Sure. Most of the group was eager to play, but Mr. Holden was demurring. I think I'll sit this one out. Where's the fun in that? Join in. We're not too angry with you. Not too angry with you. Yes, and I know there's a lot of people, but we can make it work. Mr. Holden shrunk into himself, embarrassed by their attention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it at our house all the time. Dad? Mr. Holden broke under the combined force of everyone's attention. Cove, you're an adult now. You deserve to know the truth. I used to throw the card game so you could win. I put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose a lot more rounds than I won. He toyed with the end of his ponytail, clearly distressed at the second great secret he was revealing today. I know people want to be taken seriously and fake wins don't mean as much, but I couldn't help myself. It's so much better when everyone else got the chance to be victorious. Kyra knew and went along with it. Cove laughed in disbelief that this was the thing his dad stressed about hiding after the other stunts he's pulled over the years. So what? Lots of parents do that. I hadn't guessed it, sure, though looking back it makes sense. That's right, what's the big deal, Cliff? You can finally take the kid gloves off and give them a run for their money. Maybe even actual money in your case? Mr. Holden smiled coyly, his gaze lowering. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Why?
And why not? He waved his hands expansively, the movement fluid and vague. It's just, actually, I am something of a card shark. I used to make lots of fast cash off games. Casual players don't have a shot unless it's a game of pure luck. Cove's jaw hung open, his wide eyes fixed on his father. Really? There was a touch of amazement and even admiration nestled among the shock. Oh man. The other members of the Lumen family exchanged looks, ranging from Liz's disbelief to Mom's intrigue, with Ma somewhere in the middle between the two. You can't simply make a claim like that and expect us to go along with it. Let's see you back it up, Shark Man. Mr. Holden gave her a crooked smile, his demureness quickly being replaced with the confidence of someone very skilled or very misguided. You sure about that? Definitely. We've got to see this so-called non-casual player in action. Well, I might be able to, though who knows. Maybe I've gotten rusty. His coyness continued to rile the gang up, and he was getting a kick out of it now.
Please?
Come on, please.
Alright.
Alright, I can dust off the old tricks. Great. Cove beamed at his father while Mom clapped Mr. Holden on the back. Liz darted off to get a deck of cards while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hands were dealt. Mr. Holden wasted no time proving his words true, wiping the floor with all of you. You played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. That was how the alliance came to be forged. The rest of you joined forces against Mr. Holden only, just trying to increase the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, you pulled out a few victories, yet it was still a challenge. He was clearly a professional. If these were his skills now, rusty with disuse, you couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he'd been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun. Working cooperatively actually fostered a sense of camaraderie with the others. Mr. Holden didn't appear fazed by this strategy. You actually wondered whether the increased challenge made it more interesting for him. You spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holdens, having fun. It was an interesting evening for sure, with many discoveries for everyone. It was freeing, and yet simultaneously you felt more tied together than you ever had before. Wow. Look at that. Save that game. And I think that is enough for tonight. Oh my god, so next stream I guess we're gonna finish the game. I skipped a couple of the kid ones, so after that we can go back and look at those if we want. But for the time being, that's gonna be it. Pick up the cat so he can say goodbye to the stream. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. It was very nice to see you. I will be streaming again next Saturday at 11 p.m. Central Time. And we'll see the end of the game. We'll see if these two platonic best friends can actually admit their feelings to each other. Oh, I know. I'm sure he looks just so mad that he's here. Isn't that right? Oh, oh. All right. But yes, thank you all so very much for being here. And I hope to see you next time. Take care.